Welcome to the Blueprint in Practice, episode 10, the video series where I show exactly how I implement the blueprint in real life. And if you're new here, the blueprint is probably one of the simplest approaches, if not the simplest approach to fitness on the internet. Is how I build my physique, a good amount of strength, and elite level cardiovascular fitness, training only 3 exercises, training under 1 hour a week, and having cut down the nutritional side to only 3 simple rules to follow as well. The blueprint is in the description. It's a PDF document with supplementary videos, and it's free to read through if you're interested. All right, so in terms of training updates, I have added 2 kilos more to the weight vest. And that's sort of to prove that it doesn't really matter how you choose to progress as long as you progress. So I was training with 15 kilos beforehand, around 7 reps, and then I just chose to add 2 kilos. So 1 rep amounts to 1 kilo on the chin up. And we obviously use the same weight vest for all our exercises, so chin-ups, push-ups, and squats. And we use the chin-up to gauge when to add or subtract weight, because that's the most difficult of the exercises. So we typically train in the 5 to 15 rep range. And then what I did beforehand was what you do essentially is that you just train, and then over time, if you're in a bulk or you're a beginner, you'll find yourself getting stronger by doing the exercise over and over again. And then you sort of, start at 5 reps perhaps with the given load you're training with. And then once you're in the higher end of the rep zone, so let's say around 10 reps, but again, it doesn't matter, then just when you do more reps, you can add more load, you see, and then you drop down to around 5 reps again. So in this video, I'll do 6 reps with what's now 17 kilos in the weight vest. And then I'm just sort of gonna add a couple reps over time, and then to equate that out, I'm going to add kilos and then drop down in rep count again. And then I'm just going to keep going like that until I'm at 30 kilos, and then I'm just going to add reps. And then over time, you can buy more weight if you're interested when you get to that level, by which point you'll be really, really strong. You can add more weight if you want to, but you can also just keep doing reps and add reps to your chin-ups and also the push-ups and squats, of course. But you can also progress by improving your technique, let's say. So you can do pause strap chin-ups. So you can pause at the top. You can also try to pull your chest more towards the bar. That'll make the exercise way more difficult. And then you have progression material with that alone for the rest of your life, most likely. So you never have to add more weight than 30 kilos, I would suspect. But you can do it if you want to. But that's just sort of how you progress. And then obviously as you add weight to the weight vest and the chin-up, you automatically progressively overload on the push-up and squats as well. And then it just sort of runs an automation. And then, ideally, you also count, try to constantly beat how many reps you're doing on the push-ups and chin-ups. But I find that happens automatically. And you're doing so many reps anyway. But automatically, if you just train somewhat close to failure on those exercises, you are, over time, as you get stronger, going to do more reps. Because you get stronger, you see, so you're going to be able to do more reps with given load before you hit failure, or close to failure, let's say. 1 rep shy of failure is probably optimal. That's just sort of how I'm going to go. So I'm going to add a couple reps, maybe work my way up to 7 reps again, as I did with 15 kilos, and then add 2 kilos more to the bar, and then I'm at 19 kilos, and then I'm going to drop down to maybe 5-6 reps, work my way up slowly over time. That's just how I'm going to progress. It's pretty boring, but it's super simple. There's nothing fancy there, and that's how I like it. When it comes to nutrition, I have a case study for you guys today. So I was on a trip a couple of days ago where I have eaten this normally, obviously, but that day I had a sandwich, a little snack, let's say. And what you can do there to not eat, you could just choose to just have that be a day and have eaten a sandwich extra that day and have added those calories to your bulk. I'm bulking right now at the moment, obviously. And that would be fine. As long as it's not every day where you're not eating, that sandwich probably contained 300 calories, maybe, something like that. as long as it's not every day, because if it's every day, you're eating a 300 calories on top of your 200 to 400 calorie surplus, well then you'll be gaining a significant amount of fat and not a lot of more muscle with that surplus. So you want to avoid that. But if it's sometimes, it's fine, okay? But what I did was that I just subtracted the sandwich approximately from my lunch. So it was like a little meal between breakfast and lunch. And then I just chose to eat less rice and 1 egg less for lunch. And that sort of equated it out. And that way I stayed within the bulk, that 200 calorie surplus in that day as well, which is probably the optimal thing to do. So that's something you can do. Again, you just want to approximate things. Like, you don't have to be super exact or precise with your nutrition. If you don't plan on, like, if you don't have like a deadline where you have like a physique show or something. So if you're not planning, or like a power meet or something, then it just doesn't matter whether you are like super precise or not. You just want to be somewhat in the ballpark. So you just want to make sure that you're eating slightly more food than otherwise over your maintenance when you're bulking, and slightly less food when you're cutting, right? And obviously the system for approximating that super easily is in the blueprint. And yeah, when it comes to sleep, it's just been the same. I just wake up, go outside when the sun comes up. I have a sunlight lamp as well I use in the morning to sort of wake me up. I highly recommend that, by the way. And then I wake up at 5 a.m. every day. So wake up at the same time every day. That's probably the best thing you could do before you sleep, because then you'll find, like, at some point around 8 is probably when I go to sleep on average. I just fall asleep like automatically. I probably fall asleep at 9. But it's super consistent every day, and that's what is important. So I basically every day get around 7-8 hours of sleep, which is enough to recover, obviously. And that's really the only thing you should ever look at when it comes to recovery, when it comes to your training. Like, you don't have to do any ice baths or take any any massage or anything. All that shit doesn't work, at least not compared to just sleeping properly. If you just sleep, that's all the rest you ever need. And then take rest days once in a while. That's all the recovery you need, okay? You don't have to do any fancy tricks or anything. All right, so I think that's sort of the video. Just a quick update on my training. And if you have any questions, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. You can like the video if you thought it was great. And you can subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of these videos. So thank you very much for watching.